I get many emails asking me for spells for this, spells for that. I need a psalm for this, a psalm for that. And it's understandable since that's what I teach. But what happens, I've noticed, is that when I give a suggestion, those same people will come back with, I need another spell for this or another spell for that. People misunderstand how magic works. They really think that they need a specific operation, a specific formula, a specific psalm. While a very well composed spell can be very powerful, the reason it's powerful is not because of something it's doing. It's because it is helping you to guide your mind in a particular way to build the thought form necessary for whatever it is that you want to achieve. Think about revival meetings in Christian churches where they have miracle healings up on stage. Rarely do you hear about what happens after those people go home. They get a bunch of adrenaline and maybe a post-hypnotic suggestion within the hubbub of all of that Jesus stuff that goes on in those revival meetings, and they get up out of their wheelchair maybe, or they have their pain leave, or something happens where they feel like they've had a miracle healing, but it doesn't last. It never lasts because they're not building a thought form. They're not changing the energy patterns necessary to have a permanent healing or a permanent change to whatever their circumstance is. It's all just a spectacle. And what we don't want is our magic to be merely a spectacle. We want our magic to be something that creates long-term and or permanent change in our lives. Some of the most dramatic and powerful magic I've ever experienced has very little spectacle to it. And as we've talked about before, sometimes that spectacle is a distraction. Sometimes when we have unusual occurrences, it's not because the spell is more powerful. It usually means we're looking for phenomena. We're looking for phenomenalistic occurrences rather than true healing, rather than true resolution. If you are studying magic, what you want to study is something that works. You don't want tricks. If you want magic tricks, study illusion. If you want to be an illusionist, that's wonderful. They're very fun to watch. And in fact, going to see a good magic show is good for us because it opens our minds, it gets our imagination going, and it can be a lot of fun. But we're not after illusion. In fact, we're after the opposite of illusion. We want to cut through illusion and get into resolution. We want to cut through illusion and get into healing, get into success. And in my training that I offer, a witch's primer, we don't start out with a lot of spells. We start out with training your mind, training your energy bodies, training yourself to have control over your own natural forces that each and every one of us has, and building that power by working internally. And then later, we start to show you how you can use candles or poppets or powders and things like that to help fine-tune the operation that you're using. But those things are never presented as something that's necessary. They are adjuncts that many of us find helpful and some of us find enjoyable. But the crux of the magic comes from within. Always, the crux of magical operations that are successful are an occurrence of an internal operation. You can just turn on YouTube and see what people are after and what people are touting. Magical mantra, magical powder. Say this once and you'll have $1 million. It's just a lot of snake oil to get clicks, when in reality, in order to become a powerful magician, witch, magus, magical practitioner, requires that you take full responsibility. You don't put your faith in a powder. You don't put your faith in a potion. You don't put your faith in anything outside of you. And therefore, when you use a powder, when you use a potion, when you use a candle, those things are very powerful for you because they are focal points for those forces that you are building. I remember in the 90s, there were a lot of infomercials, and fitness was a big craze. Rarely did they talk about what you needed to do as far as work out every day, have a program to exercise every day in order to build muscle. No, it was always, you need this machine. Without this machine, you're never going to be able to get the kind of body that you want. Or you need this drink, you need this shake, you need this powder, you need these supplements. And it's the same shtick that we see with magic. There's so many different incenses you can buy and so many oils, and they're wonderful. I'm not saying you can't have them, especially if they help make your spellcasting more enjoyable and they help you get in the mood. That's wonderful. But the idea that somehow you need to turn your craft into another form of consumerism is outrageous to me. It's absolutely outrageous to me. And it's been going on for a long time, but it's really hit a critical period in the modern iterations of what the craft is. Somehow you can buy your way into magic. You can buy your way into having results happen. It's no different than thinking that you can buy your way into having fitness. How many people bought that Bowflex in the 90s and it's still sitting in their garage and they never bothered to use it because they didn't want to exercise? They didn't want to exercise. They just wanted to buy something that would give them a beautiful body. How do you think that worked out for them? Same thing goes with us. You can buy your way into getting a spell to work for you. And don't pay people to do your magic for you either, by the way. How good is that? Even if it works, it's no more permanent than that healing that happens on stage in a revival meeting. You're going to be back in that wheelchair. You're going to be back with whatever the problem was as soon as all the dust settles, because you have not built the proper internal infrastructure needed for that change to occur. It doesn't matter whose system you use. You don't need to use any one particular system, but you do need to understand that in order to have results that are verifiable and repeatable, you have to train. And it's no different from training in fitness or training as a musician or training as an engineer. It is working with universal principles, and they do require you to be committed to them. They do require your effort. And the more we allow ourselves to be distracted by the shiny things that are being thrown at us from all directions, saying, buy this, buy this, buy this, the less we are working on our own magical forces. Learning how to train your mind, learning how to relax your body, learning how to build a thought form, raise and focus energy, and then release it. Praying to an external deity is no better than going to the revival meeting or trying to buy some fast money incense. An external deity or an external entity isn't going to help you, isn't going to do the work required to get the results that you want. And I'll let you in on a secret. There is no such thing as an external entity or external deity. So anytime that you are working with a spirit, say, that's helping you, what you're really doing is working with yourself. You're working with an aspect of yourself that you are objectifying, which can be quite effective as long as you know what you're doing. But it's not external to you. There is no external demon that is helping you, that it's bringing you something. There is no external deity that's out there bringing you something. And to the degree that you believe that it's external to you is the degree to which you still have not built your own power. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking to a higher power for the support that you need. But the idea that that higher power is external to you is the problem. Anytime you catch yourself praying to something or asking something outside of you to rescue you from an experience, recognize that the best that you can come up with in that circumstance is temporary relief from something. But if you want permanent change, then you need to roll up your sleeves. You need to roll up your sleeves and do the work that you need to do. And yes, you can do it in conjunction with your higher power, with your higher self, with your superconscious mind, absolutely, guided and led by that higher mind, which to many of us, since it's so different from the way that we think day to day, it seems like an external entity, right? And it can appear that way. It can come to us that way if it's easier for us to recognize it. But we still have to take responsibility for the fact that that is a part of ourselves. It's a part of our mind. And there is no shortcut to doing the work that we need to do in order to build the musculature necessary to create change in our lives. And that's what magic is. Magic is change that is occurring in conformity with our will, but it's our will. Now, whether that's the higher will or whether that's the will of the ego will determine the kind of results that we get, but it's still our will. It's still our responsibility. It's still our mind. Those are still our powers. And if you are going to hand over your power to externals, you're going to be very disappointed in your results. If you rely on the powder, if you rely on the demon, if you rely on the government, if you rely on the politician, if you rely on the practitioner to do it for you, you are not going to have the permanent results that you desire. It's really important that we get clear on this and we get grounded in the fact that our magic is our own. Our magic comes from our own sweat equity. You don't need to buy anything in order to be powerful. The only thing you need to spend is time and effort. And if you're spending the time and the effort on a daily basis, you get the results. Now, some people say, I don't have that kind of power. There's no way I can make that kind of change. And I say, okay, I understand. That's how you've been brainwashed in this world. We all believe that to some degree or another. But then I will gently coax them into understanding where their power lies. If you want to relax tension in your body, who can do that for you? If you have tension in your stomach, who can you look to relieve that tension? Nobody but yourself. You have to decide. You have to relax. You have to take the breath. If you are hungry, who's responsible for chewing and swallowing your food? You are. If you need to take a breath, who's responsible for taking that breath? You are. Now, I understand that some people are on feeding tubes and ventilators and things like that, but that's not really eating and breathing. That's different. You can take that basic principle of I'm the only one that can relax my body, and you can extend that out, that I'm the only one that can build my own thought forms. I'm the only one that can think my own thoughts. I'm the only one that can have my own goals. I'm the only one that can change my life. And we are up against so much resistance in this world. It can feel as though we don't have a chance. It can feel as though we don't have any power. But that's a lie. Don't buy it. You have all the power. You have all the power. Take a moment right now with me. Unless you're driving or something, then don't do it right now. Come back to it later. Close your eyes. Take a big, deep breath. Let it go. And notice inside your body where there's tension. Take a big, deep breath and feel as though that breath is going right into that tension. And then let the breath go and relax the tension. Now, even if it only relaxed a little bit, look at all that power you have. Look at all that power you have. You just made a choice about your experience, and through that magical decision and that magical act, you changed yourself. And there's absolutely no difference between you being able to change that in that moment with your breath to being able to build thought forms to create financial prosperity for yourself, to create safety and protection for yourself, to create health for yourself, and to create anything else that is within your sphere of influence. And as you do that, you will notice your sphere of influence expanding. But to the degree that you are expecting externals to do it for you, you are atrophied. You allow your magic to atrophy. And we don't want our magic to atrophy. We want it to grow. We want it to expand. We want all of our power. Don't you want all your power? I want all my power. I don't want a little of my power. The infinite gave me all power. So why do I want just a little bit of it? I want all of it. I want all my power to make all the kind of change that I am capable of making in my life. Don't you? So don't give your power away to people outside of yourselves trying to convince you that they can do it for you, or their product can do it for you, or their system can do it for you, whatever it is that they're promising. Now, that's not to say you can't buy their product. That's not to say that you can't follow their system. Of course you can. And it's not their fault if we turn them into idols, right? But it's up to you to know where the cart is and where the horse is. And the horse needs to be before the cart. If the cart is before the horse and you're wondering why you're not going anywhere, and you're saying, maybe I can buy a powder for that. Maybe I can burn a candle for that. Maybe I can get a new politician that will help me get my horse before my cart. No, that's up to you. You have to do it. You have to get in there and learn how to relax your body and lower your mental shield. You have to get in there and learn how to build a thought form. You have to get in there and learn how to quiet your mind and to have new thought habits to support your goals. That's on you. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can think your thoughts for you. And it's not your fault either. This world has taught us since the beginning that we don't have power. Go look for power somewhere else because it's not inside of you. That's been a given since you took your first breath. So it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change that. When you change that idea and you start taking responsibility for your mind, and you start taking responsibility for your magic, and you start taking responsibility for your life, you don't put up with that anymore. You don't put up with it from yourself. You definitely don't put up with it from other people. You don't put up with this idea that I don't have power, but somebody else does, and I hope that they give it to me. No, I have all power, and I want to access all my power. And that's on us to do that for ourselves. Nobody can do it for us. And if you don't feel like you are accessing all of your power, that's okay. There's just more work to do. And it should be fun. It actually is always fun. It's fabulous when you start to experience that you have access to power that you didn't understand because you've been trained to look outside of yourself. But once you realize that you have a lot of power, it's fun to access it. It's fun to start creating change in the world. It's absolutely enjoyable. It's ecstatic, in fact. It's not drudgery. The ego will tell you, oh, it's going to be so hard. It's so hard. You're going to have to do all these boring meditation exercises. It's just awful. It's so much better if you can just ask somebody else to do it for you. The ego doesn't want you accessing your power because it's death to the ego. The ego knows it will die when you have your power back because it's been lying to you this whole time, telling you you are powerless. I invite you this week, take a moment every so often and say, am I looking outside of myself for my power, or am I accessing my power? Because you can't do both at the same time. You can't expect something outside of you to do it for you and you to find it in yourself. And again, like I said, as you're accessing your own power, you can use those tools. Absolutely. You can buy all the stuff you want to buy. In fact, you'll have more money to buy the stuff you want to buy because you're accessing your power to create more prosperity. So if you still want those things, absolutely buy them. Nobody can stop you. That's your choice. That's your preference. But a lot of that stuff we're not going to be interested in anymore because we realize we don't need it. I don't need a shelf full of magical powders that somebody made in order for them to make money off of my insecurity that I don't have enough power within myself. I'm not saying that all occult supplies are like that. I love witchy stuff. It's fun. I love to use the oils and the incenses and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. And I love being able to work within all those correspondences. It has its place, but only to the degree that it's augmenting the power that I've discovered and grown and built within myself. Huge difference when a self-actualized witch uses a tool versus somebody that's saying, I don't have any power, what can I do? Where's the spell? Where's the psalm? I have no power. Coming from that point of view, the spell and the psalm may give you a little comfort, which is good. But until you're able to access the power within yourself and take responsibility for building it, you're not going to get the results that you want with those external methods. It's just not going to happen. And I've seen it again and again and again and again, where people think, no, just one more psychic, just one more reading and I'll have it. Just one more oil, just one more powder, right? Just one more. I'm going to send another $1,000 to the witch doing the spells for me, and then I'll get what I want. It may, like I said, work temporarily, but wouldn't you rather do it rather than sending money to somebody else to do it? Wouldn't you rather do it? Wouldn't you rather have your own power? I would. So let's do that. Let's take a week. And anytime we are looking outside of ourselves for the answer, we're going to say, not this week. This week, I'm going to find the power within. This week, I'm going to change my thought on this situation. This week, I'm going to see a different result. This week, I'm going to take charge of the current of power and alter that tide myself with my thought current, with my intention, with my understanding. Regardless of what degree of power you've built for yourself, you have enough. You have enough just by making a choice, just by making the decision to alter your own life based on your own internal power structures. And those will grow over time if you use them. But if you keep relying on everything outside of yourself to do it for you, you'll never access that power, and those forces won't grow. They won't be built. So let's take a week off of externals. Take 1 week off of looking outside of myself for the results that I want in my life. And I'm going to look within myself, and I'm going to change my thought patterns. I'm going to change my energy so that it is suited toward my goal of what I want. Something's happening that you don't like? Okay, fine. What do I want instead? Let me focus my forces on getting what I want instead. Say it's a health problem. You've chosen that you're going to be healed of this. Then you're going to probably be led to the perfect doctor that's a specialist in that, or the perfect supplement, or the perfect whatever. In which case, then you will take it because it's a result of an internal process, not you looking outside of yourself. You see the difference? When you work with your doctor after having decided to be healthy, that's very different than saying, I have no power over my health. I hope the doctor knows what to do. Very different experience. Your power comes from within you, and you can make change happen. Yes, you can. And you're going to do it. And you're not going to take no for an answer from yourself. And you're not going to let anybody convince you otherwise. And notice the miracles that happened this week. They came from deep within you. And remember, you are one with your Creator. You are like a sunbeam from the sun. So you have just as much power as any other being in the universe. Nobody has more power than you do or less power than you do. So you can tap into that power because it's within you, not outside of you, within you. And you can direct it toward whatever it is that you want. So you start within your sphere of influence, and little by little, you're going to expand that sphere of influence. Right? So you're not going to try nonsense. Let's see if I can fly. None of that. You're going to stay within your sphere of influence, but you're going to really be there. You're going to really effect change within the sphere of influence. And that's how that sphere grows. And you're going to do it. And it's going to be wonderful. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time, blessed be.